The quiet of the desert night enveloped everything, yet amid the enveloping blackness, there echoed steps that even the adversary of mankind would never venture to obstruct. He was an individual whose mere existence compelled malevolent forces to alter their course, a figure whose utterances bore the gravity of righteousness, a soul whose blade safeguarded the vulnerable, and whose supplications drenched the rug of devotion in trepidation before the divine. His title reverberated through realms, shattered fetters, and elevated the downtrodden. Though not divinely commissioned as a messenger, the era following his presence would forever transform. This unfolds the astonishing authentic account of Umar ibn Al-Khattab, the individual of such formidable might that even the tempter held him in dread. By him in whose grasp resides my essence. The messenger, peace and blessings upon him, declared, "Upon my life in his hands, whenever the tempter encounters Umar along a route, he selects an alternative trail. Prior to delving in, ensure you subscribe and activate notifications. This transcends mere narrative. It embodies an enduring heritage. Share in the comments your location as you tune in. And now let us commence." The relentless sun scorched the dunes of Makkah, its radiant beams projecting elongated silhouettes across the bustling bazaar, where authority and haughtiness strode hand in hand. Within those elongated forms glided a figure whose reputation sufficed to hush assemblies. Umar ibn Al-Khattab. He possessed a towering stature, robust build, and advanced with the assured gait of one unacquainted with timidity. His timbre resonated across the avenues akin to the resonant beat of a percussion, resolute and authoritative. Combatants held him in esteem, adversaries regarded him with terror. Even detractors refrained from sustaining his gaze for extended durations. In the unrefined clan-based realm of Makkah, Umar stood as a majestic beast amid mortals. He transcended the typical fighter. His intellect was keen, his oratory persuasive, and his grasp firm upon the hilt. The Quraysh confided in him their conflicts, their deliberations, their most intricate matters. When Umar articulated, audiences heeded. He mastered the dialect of dominance. He comprehended the significance of lineages and pacts. His vigor resided not solely in physique, but in his demeanor, an aura that exacted submission and veneration. Nevertheless, concealed beneath that unyielding facade, dwelled a spirit yet untouched by the radiance of belief, at least for the present. During those initial phases, Umar harbored no tolerance for Islam's proclamation. To his perception, it constituted an uprising, a fissure in the Quraysh's vainglory. He observed the modest cadre of adherents convening clandestinely, deeming them frail, imprudent, and perilous to the societal weave he championed. He denounced them in assemblies of elders, derided their piety, and vowed allegiance to the effigies venerated by his ancestors. In his estimation, he served as custodian of customs, protector of dignity. Yet in reality, he fortified bonds destined for rupture. Still, what eluded all observers, including Umar, was the unseen guidance of fate molding his trajectory. Each manifestation of hubris, every stride aimed at muffling verity, propelled him nearer to it. Within him smoldered an inferno, intense and persistent. It yearned for meaning, for an expanse surpassing the trivial feuds of clans. That blaze would soon be seized not by fabricated deities but by the Almighty. Folks uttered his moniker with reverence. Caregivers cautioned their offspring against provocation. Traders muted their discourse upon his approach. His aura alone could quell disputes prior to escalation. Umar embodied the archetype of an ascendant whose trajectory appeared inexorable. Yet the divine selects not merely the gentlest souls to bear his verity. Occasionally, he opts for the mightiest to dismantle bastions of conceit with the identical potency once employed in their erection. At Makkah's core, a predator prowled, ferocious, resolute, and assured of his supremacy. But supremacy avails naught against divine ordinance. Ere long, the very individual who paraded with the swagger of might would prostrate in sobs before his creator. The combatant who upheld deception would evolve into the edge that upheld Islam, and the obscurity that formerly overshadowed the faithful would one day position itself among them as a bulwark. The desert's swelter adhered to his form like an additional plating of protection as he surged through Makkah's lanes. His mandible set rigidly, his clasp intensifying upon the chilled metal of his scimitar. Within his torso seethed an ire that had simmered for seasons, churning, coiling, poised to unleash. Sufficient with Muhammad, he ruminated. Sufficient with his doctrine-fracturing communities, rending kinships, ridiculing ancestral divinities. This eve, he would quash it eternally. He, Umar ibn Al-Khattab, would emerge as the eradicator of Islam prior to its establishment. Onlookers yielded passage as he advanced, detecting the tempest in his gaze. His paces stretched long and purposeful, each impacting the earth like the herald of impending conflict. The scimitar at his flank transcended mere armament. It symbolized a vow of carnage, a vow to terminate an entity that deep within he dreaded might harbor authenticity. That element remained unspoken. Beneath his wrath lingered a subtler essence, indefinable. Then arose an utterance from the thoroughfare, a murmur from one who intersected his route. "Umar," the individual uttered warily, "ere you confront Muhammad, ought you not address your kin? Your sibling and her spouse have embraced his tidings." The assertion struck like deception. The cosmos veered. His sibling Fatima, his own kin by blood, a bellow swelled in his breast. Treachery, acute and acrid, coursed through him. He pivoted, the scimitar shimmering beneath the sun like a blaze's flicker, and hastened to her abode. Within, Fatima, alongside her consort, recited softly. Their intonations quivered with conviction. They remained oblivious to his advent, yet upon his forcible breach of the portal, the chamber congealed. Their countenances blanched. The scroll was hastily concealed, yet tardily. He discerned it in their expressions, the luminescence he pledged to douse. "Is it factual?" he bellowed. "You adhere to him?" His kin by marriage advanced, timbre quavering yet resolute. "Indeed, for his conveyance is veracity." The strike landed swiftly. Fury obscured vision. A tussle, an outcry, the impact of sinew upon sinew. Then hush. Fatima hastened forth, crimson at her lips' edge, her articulation unwavering amid descending saline. "Yes, Umar, we profess belief. Proceed as you deem, yet we shall not recant." An internal fracture occurred. This transcended the resistance of the naive. It embodied an alternative, an immovability. His vision descended upon the scroll, marred by grit and gore. He extended a palm once swift to unsheathe without pause. "Surrender it," he snarled. "You remain sullied," she murmured tenderly. "Purify yourself, then peruse." The Quraysh's predator, who instilled quakes in clans, departed to ritually cleanse prior to scriptures he formerly scorned. Upon re-entry and initiation of recitation, it seemed the universe suspended respiration. Surah Taha's stanzas cascaded through him, akin to rivulets etching rock. The lexicon penetrated strata of vanity, fracturing cardiac enclosures. This transcended verse, it evaded enchantment. It ascended higher, compelling terrestrial obeisance. His thorax constricted, his palms quaked. For the inaugural instance, the battler sensed diminishment, not frailty, but abasement. He ascended from the terrain, scimitar persisting at flank, yet its intent altered. "Escort me to him," he breathed. "Escort me to Muhammad." The edge once tempered for slaughter now progressed toward illumination. That juncture, the pursuer transmuted to guardian, and Makkah irrevocably altered. The orb lingered elevated above Makkah, diffusing luminescence across the venerable lithos of the Kaaba. The atmosphere thickened with the susurrations of mortals, yet uncomprehending of the recent occurrence. In one nocturnal span, the Quraysh's blade metamorphosed into Islam's aegis. The figure they most dreaded had assimilated into the creed they abhorred. Yet the metropolis remained ignorant of the impending maelstrom. Umar ibn Al-Khattab, erstwhile foe of Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, poised to eternally recalibrate dominion's equilibrium. For epochs, the adherents invoked in obscurity, their murmurs submerged by Quraysh derision. They convened in secluded nooks, spirits resolute yet utterances subdued, anticipating an era of unburdened elevation. That epoch arrived. Umar traversed Makkah's avenues with his characteristic vigor, his orbs aglow with nascent radiance, yet this luminescence stemmed not from vanity. It emanated faith's blaze. The identical entity who formerly vowed to mute the doctrine now yearned to broadcast it. He directed toward the Kaaba, the epicenter of their domain, where Quraysh convened to vaunt effigies and supremacy. The emporium lapsed into muteness upon sighting his approach. Males yielded, females averted visages. All recognized the Quraysh's beast, yet none deciphered the gale in his scrutiny. Umar halted before the Kaaba, elevated his crown skyward, and with a timbre once marshalling legions proclaimed his creed. "I attest," he intoned, each syllable a mallet against encircling icons, "that none merits worship save Allah, and Muhammad serves as his emissary." His bellow reverberated from masonry, traversing the urban expanse akin to a summons to battle. The Quraysh petrified. Some chuckled uneasily, others murmured. None had previously presumed to position here at vainglory's nexus and avow fidelity to their utmost detested. None until Umar. Subsequently transpired an unprecedented spectacle in Makkah. The faithful, long concealed in trepidation, commenced surfacing. Sequentially, countenances once sequestered in gloom materialized beneath daylight. Their pulses fluttered not from alarm, but from cognizance of solidarity. Umar stood present, a colossus of fortitude aligned with them. Presently he regarded them and articulated with the identical assurance once wielding tribal sway, "Why conceal ourselves? Do we not uphold verity?" United they advanced toward the Kaaba. United they prostrated. For the premier occasion, Allahu Akbar's invocation ascended overtly, not within barred thresholds. Their formations aligned rigidly, flanks adjoining, spirits unyielding. The Quraysh observed mutely, impotent to intercede. Umar's aura functioned as an encircling bulwark. His conviction outvoiced their scorn. His proclamations submerged their susurrations. The locus where he once menaced as antagonist now transfigured to the sod where he genuflected as adherent. That solar cycle, Makkah's dynamics pivoted. Apprehension transposed allegiances. The subjugators endured an incomprehensible potency's burden, and the Muslims, for the inaugural instance, savored the vigor of overt procession, erect beneath the celestial orb, erect alongside Umar ibn Al-Khattab. May Allah be pleased with him. The breeze wafted tepidly through Medina that solar instance, bearing the subdued dialogues of an urban expanse flourishing beneath Islam's canopy. Umar ibn Al-Khattab navigated its lanes not as a triumphant overlord reveling in sway, but as an individual dreading his sovereign beyond any mortal. The identical palms once gripping a scimitar now bore equity's onus, and when Umar dispensed equity, no mortal, no lineage, no sovereign evaded its span. No longer his scimitar conferred potency. Rather, his unswerving conviction that the Almighty perceives totality. The indigent, the frail, the sojourners from remote dominions all discovered sanctuary under his governance. No edifice insulated him from his flock. No sentinels barred access to his threshold. His mantle frayed, his footgear mended, yet upon his transit, existence aligned. For they recognized this as a figure who would scrutinize universally, even should the supplicant hail from the paramount viceroy's progeny. Tidings arrived one juncture of a youthful custodian from Egypt, an individual aggrieved. He presented disheveled and fatigued, having journeyed extensively to Medina to petition equity from a solitary entity. The custodian of the faithful, Umar ibn Al-Khattab. His grievance proved elementary yet burdensome. He had endured lashes from Egypt's viceroy's offspring, who had assailed him with disdain and proclaimed, "I descend from nobility." The youth quivered as Umar attended wordlessly, absent throne, aurum, or pomp, merely Umar the lad and rectitude. He convened the viceroy's heir, and promptly the duo confronted him, the malefactor and the victimized. Umar's scrutiny blazed, frigid, steadfast, and daunting. He proffered the youth a lash. "Inflict upon him," Umar directed, "as he inflicted upon you." Auditory inhalations permeated the enclosure. This constituted the viceroy's progeny, a figure of prestige. Yet Umar perceived no prestige, no descent, solely equity. The lash whistled aerially, mirroring disdain's prior descent upon the youth's dorsum. Umar elevated and uttered phrases resonating across ages. "Since when do you subjugate humanity birthed unbound by their progenitors?" Egypt's viceroy inclined his crown in mortification. The heir, formerly deeming himself inviolable, sampled equity's abasement. Umar subsequently addressed the youth. "You have reclaimed your due," he consoled mildly, "and recognized that beneath this dominion, none supersedes another save in piety." This epitomized Umar, a figure who might have governed via intimidation, yet elected Quranic sovereignty, a soul who refrained from erecting barriers around his authority, but demolished inequity's ramparts. Nocturnally, as the urbanity slumbered, he patrolled avenues, hearkening, observing, ensuring no famine assailed, no solitude engulfed lamentation. The militant had ascended to grandeur, a column upon which the vulnerable reclined. In his custody, equity transcended lexicon. It vitalized as keenly and candidly as the scimitar he formerly bore. And upon his discourse the potent quaked, while the subjugated elevated chins with optimism. Equity during his epoch inscribed not upon tomes, it etched into psyches. It constituted the bequest of a figure who revered the Almighty beyond terrestrial bounds. It embodied the bequest of Umar ibn Al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, equity's scimitar. Twilight descended delicately upon Medina, enshrouding the urbanity in a hush audible solely to the genuine. Amid the subdued zephyrs and a nocturnal avian's remote summons, a lone silhouette traversed avenues unobtrusively. No legion trailed, no attendants illuminated. It was Umar ibn Al-Khattab, guardian of the faithful, the figure whose appellation instilled alarm in hosts and whose treads compelled infernal entities to evade. Yet this identical figure beneath lunar glow advanced with crown inclined, not in arrogance, but in awe of the divine. Observers beheld a militant. They discerned a chieftain marshalling expansive territories, a sovereign toppling dominions, but unobserved remained the vigils when his spirit bore a load surpassing any diadem. When existence dozed, Umar lamented. He would ingress the mosque amid vacancy, collapse to haunches, and murmur invocations perceivable solely by the Almighty. His facial foliage dampened with saline as he intoned the Quran. His timbre, thundering diurnally, mellowed to a quavering susurrus nocturnally. He dreaded naught terrestrially, not mortals, not phalanges, not monarchs. But before his sovereign he quivered akin to foliage in gale. He cognized terrestrial potency as ephemeral umbra vanishing at dusk. Authentic potency pertained to the celestial sovereign. That unveiled Umar's enigma, that elucidated why even the tempter held him in dread. The messenger, peace and blessings upon him, once articulated, "By him in whose custody resides my vitality, whenever the tempter intersects Umar's route, he deviates." This arose not from Umar's mere robustness. It stemmed from his spirit's impregnability via indomitable conviction. His advances bore sincerity's mass, his essence fortified upon divine commemoration. Numerous vigils he patrolled boulevards, mantle-grazing terrain, inspecting his charges. Unguarded, unlit, solely he and his sovereign overseeing the community. And upon domiciliary return, he erected in devotion, intoning stanzas lacerating his spirit. He recollected the juncture when each essence confronts solitary, when even titans diminish. He frequently soliloquized, "Misery upon you, Umar, should the Almighty withhold clemency." Behind the visage of a figure agitating realms lingered a divine attendant quaking at Quranic lexicon. Behind vocal resoluteness pulsed a spirit throbbing with modesty. Infernal entities dreaded him not for his scimitar, but for perceiving what mortals oft overlooked, a spirit moored to the Almighty, immovable, ablaze with radiance. That defined Umar al-Faruq, may Allah be pleased with him, a figure sovereign over realms yet awed by his spirit's sovereign. A figure whose vigor derived not from corporeal form, but from creed. And amid a realm teeming with militants he rarefied, a figure whose potency diverted even the invisible. The gales of annals commenced veering. What formerly appeared immutable hegemonies quivered, not solely from martial masses, but from equity's ascent borne by figures revering the Almighty beyond mortality's dread. Central stood Umar ibn Al-Khattab. He donned no coronet, no aurum-encrusted seat, no marbled citadel. His robustness sourced not from opulence or ancestral sway. It emanated creed. Beneath his stewardship, Islam's ensign ascended over domains once deriding its utterance. Persia's colossal, vainglorious realm crumbled akin to a sandy edifice. The Byzantines, whose mere designation once instilled cardiac flutter, receded before militants bearing naught but blades and divine assurance. Majestic urbans unbarred portals, territories once groaning under subjugation's yoke, inhaled equity's inaugural zephyr. Emporia transmuted, statutes transmuted, existences transmuted. Yet while realms burgeoned under his aegis, Umar persisted unaltered. The figure marshalling realm-shaking legions still navigated Medina's lanes in a mended mantle, footgear abraded and unadorned. When nocturnal hush prevailed, he shouldered flour sacks, consigning to famished thresholds unobserved save by the Almighty. No retainer bore his loads, no chronicler inscribed exploits, no standard exalted his appellation, his solitary standard, modesty, his lone observer, his fashioner. He might have existed regally. He might have enrobed in satin, encircled by aurum. Instead, he favored unyielding domiciliary sod, a cushion of hide stuffed with frond pith, and a spirit intolerant of extravagance amid collective penury. When distant terrain viceroys visited, they encountered not a throned entity, but a chieftain sand-seated, jesting with indigence, hearkening to frailty's plaints. The subjugations engendered not hubris. They amplified trepidation. He oft lamented, "Should a beast falter upon Iraq's thoroughfare, I dread the Almighty querying my failure to smooth the passage." This encapsulated Umar, realms prostrate, yet his spirit in prostration. Equity emanated from Medina akin to auroral genesis, irradiating the cosmos. Domains once tyrannized inhaled clemency. The subjugated realigned erect. Fear-acclimated mortals commenced unhindered articulation. And pivotal resided a figure bearing no coronet. merely accountability's onus before his sovereign. Umar ibn Al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, who subdued realms sans subjugation thereto. He marshalled mortals sans permitting sway's dominion. His magnitude sourced not from governed expanses, but from his traversal thereof with modesty, divine awe, and a spirit brimming with creed impervious to terrestrial seduction. The cosmos transmuted encircling him, yet he refrained from terrestrial accommodation. The firmament lingered obscured, as adherents convened in the mosque. Fajr's chill enwrapped the congregational ranks in tranquil stasis. Lamps guttered mildly, projecting protracted umbrae terrestrial. Among frontal stations lingered a figure whose treads once diverted infernal paths, whose timbre resonated through hegemonies, whose equity spanned beyond Arabian arids. Umar ibn Al-Khattab occupied his locus, serene, equilibrated, oblivious that this aurora marked his finale. The adhan ascended mildly, and the faithful arrayed flank to flank, respirations uniform in quiescence. As Umar elevated palms to inaugurate devotion, no alarm shadowed his spirit, solely the repose of one lifelong advancing toward his sovereign. Takbir's lexicon suffused the ether, yet amid the ranks, a mortal spirit smoldered with animosity. A Persian bondservant concealing a stiletto slithered crowdward akin to umbra. The faithful inclined in yielding. In that stasis the stiletto impaled, metal rent integument. A collective inhalation traversed the mosque. Umar faltered, yet endured upright. Agony lanced acutely, yet his labials invoked solely the Almighty's appellation. Crimson commenced diffusing prayer rugward, somber and thermal. The mosque, erstwhile resounding his edicts, now cradled a perishing chieftain's subdued respirations. Turmoil undulated ranksward. The malefactor gashed addressees ere subdual. Yet Umar's timbre cleaved din, attenuated yet resolute in joining prayer's continuance. Even therein, with existence spiraling afar, he prioritized divine adoration above self. His robustness eternally served Islam, not ego. They conveyed him tenderly domiciliary. His visage pallid, vestments gore-sodden, yet orbs retained perennial luminescence. Comrades and fellows amassed spirits leaden, cognizant terrain imminently forfeited a colossus. Umar skyward gazed, murmuring terminal invocations, phrases of aspiration, trepidation, rendezvous with his lifelong sovereign. He inquired populous security, devotion's culmination, even threshold crossing, his spirit communally anchored. Subsequently, his sovereign-ward pivoted and breathed, "All lords to the Almighty." The identical figure once leonine in bellow departed existentially in yielded susurrus. The stiletto perforated soma, yet not bequest. Mosque terrain gore desiccated, yet born radiance endured. His equity trajectory, indomitable creed, lacrimal vigils and diurnal vigor transmuted to generational flambeau. Umar ibn Al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, repatriated to his sovereign, not battlefield ward, but Allah's domicile, mid-prayer marshalling adherence. The figure agitating hegemonies vacated this realm prostrate. His appellation, historial inscribed, not inked, but via equity's resonance yet illuminating the cosmos across centuries.